anybody that came here expecting me to badmouth or hammer Oracle, you can leave, because I'm not going to do that. We have a lot of great successes with Oracle hardware and software. I want to talk about the little bit of the story of how we made it through our negotiations. I had done some research, but I had kind of pieced together how I thought at MasterCard and how we could work within the system that Oracle had in place. But I was missing some key elements. So I got invited by my friends at Enterprise DB to come and speak at one of their group sales conferences. And it turned out that I had a brother from another mother who presented in front of me, Craig Garanti. And Craig filled in all the gaps that I didn't know. And we started down the path with Palisades, and we really had kind of an abridged schedule. As Craig said, it would be nice to have a year. We had 2.5 months?
About that.
Yeah. We had about 2.5 months to when we were going to run out of our ULA. One of the most important things that Craig showed us was, and I guess I probably should have had one slide. It's just an XY axis. And what it shows is that when you come out of a ULA, you're trying to bulk up, and you had the perfect example because you had a company that was retiring a data center, but they didn't necessarily have to tell Oracle that they were going to retire it. So they were going to count all those licenses, and they really had a lot of flexibility. We didn't necessarily have that flexibility because we weren't going to be shutting anything down. So the way the demand curve goes is, as you come out of a ULA, you're pretty flat, but right when you come out of it, you kind of bump up a little bit because you're still finishing up projects, but you're certifying at the level that you finished at. So it creates kind of a weird little bubble that you somehow have to overcome. We never really could come to terms with overcoming that bubble, but what we were able to do was uniquely understand where we had to position ourselves to be in a leveraged position with Oracle. And we had a pretty good situation because we're very focused on compliance, and compliance obviously includes being compliant with all your software license terms. So we were very, very comfortable that we weren't oversubscribed, that we weren't out of compliance with any of our licenses. What we did was we knew our counts were pretty good. We knew they were very good. We knew they were very accurate. But we still didn't really know what our position was with Oracle, what the real price point was. And then the final thing that we really didn't know was what were the best of breed or the world-class contract terms that we could put into the contract. So how do you really, really extract all of the value out of the ULA? So we worked with Craig's team and Craig himself, and we did just that. So we fed them all of our data, just as though they were an external audit firm. We provided them the data. They massaged it, came back and said, yep, you're right, that's what you've got. We said, okay, great. So now, what's the next part? So they looked at all of our contracts and said, I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't do that. Oh, we learned something there. That's a good idea. And I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't do that. And they gave us a nice laundry list of items that we could then go back to our sales team and say, and they also gave us kind of a timeline. So here's what you want to do. You want to go back to Oracle and you want to tell them, these are the important things to me. And you're going to win some, and you're going to lose some, and you're going to tie on some. And we said, okay, great. So we did that. And we kept saying, but when do we want to tell them how much? They said, no, hold on. Slow down, don't get excited yet. Okay, fine, we're good. So we got most of the terms, I think, that we wanted. There were some, again, that we didn't get. So we got the terms, had a clean contract that had absolutely no mention of any pricing or any products. And we then let Oracle wait and stew and think, and they kept calling us. What do you think? What do you think? No, we're good. we're good. We think we're going to certify. We think we're going to certify. What would happen if we certified? You don't want to certify. So we think we do. Okay. Still didn't know the $64 question, which was, okay, so what's the best deal that you can get and how do you actually get there? So we worked with Craig's team and we finally went back to the big red team and said, okay, here, this is what we're going to do. And they, of course, stomped, gnashing of teeth, wailing, walked out the door, told us you people are crazy, there's no way in hell. And we said, okay, great, thanks, then we'll certify. Send us the letter, send us the certification, we'll go through LMS. Then we did something that actually, Craig's team didn't really tell us. It was actually the Oracle team, but it was because we were very patient, because of the direction from Palisades, the Oracle team really told us. And they said, here's the problem. We have to tell our management a story. We have to explain to them why you think this ULA is only worth this much. So we said, okay. So that's when we got back with Craig's guys. We said, okay, what's the story? Well, how can we craft this in a way that the management at Oracle says, oh, heck yeah. Yeah, I get it. I see why you only want to pay this much. So we crafted a story. We went back to them. We said, okay, this is why we think it's only this much. And they said, oh, that makes sense. We don't like it. We're not going to take it, but it makes sense. So then they walked away and they finally came back to the table. We ended up re-signing a deal. We did it primarily because we felt it was a very effective insurance policy. And it insulated us, but it also provided us the final or the ability at the end of the next deal to end the relationship. Not end, but to not have to sign an incremental product deal. We'll always pay maintenance for the product that we use, but we won't have to buy incremental licenses, and we will have addressed that bubble that I say you always go through. So we feel very comfortable. It's not a binary decision. It's a journey. It was working with Palisades and understanding what our options really were. It was managing our own internal expectations and our own internal management and our own internal DBAs. And finally, it was coming to a deal where we saw value on both sides, because I really think Oracle saw value in the deal that they signed, and we saw value, because we're just looking to get value for value. And so I think we did that. And I can't say enough about Craig and his team.